Hello everybody, my name is Cody bringing us yet another video, and in today's video, well, it's time to continue the tier list of the D&D 5e subclasses. Today, for this Saturday, will be the Druid. As you can see, it is next up on the list. So, last week and the week before, we went over the Cleric with all their absurd amount of subclasses and all the ranking. If you want to see what I ranked them all, then go ahead and check out the videos. And then, of course, I also do a class overview. So if you want to see the overview of what the actual class is in general, then you can watch those. I also have the subclasses the Barbarian, the Artificer, and the Bard all out, as well as their overview. And then down here, if you notice this, I did change it to say that not real is part of it. Because it's not that I don't know enough of the Cleric's Arcana domain, because obviously, I mean, I read all of these, so why would I not be enough to read that one? Well, quite simple. It's not there. For whatever reason, it's just, I guess this was, I mean, as you can see by the fact that I went from Bard to, Bard to Cleric, and not Bard to Bloodhunter, the Bloodhunter doesn't exist, so that also means that at the time, Arcana domain could have existed, but it doesn't exist now. So, yeah. But hey, let's get into the Druid. If you want to know how everything is, like what these actual rankings mean, I'll put in the description what I actually mean by each of these so it's a little bit easy to understand, because I've explained it a couple of times, but don't need to explain it every time. So, I'll let the description itself tell you that. So, first off, we'll start with the Druid Circle of Dreams. As you can see, we get it at 2nd level instead of 3rd level, which is very helpful. So, when you choose the Circle of Dreams Druid, you'll be getting Balm of Summer Court. At 2nd level, you become imbued with blessings of the Summer Court. You are a font of energy that offers respite from injuries. You have a pool of Fey energy represented by a number of d6s equal to your Druid level. As a bonus action, you can choose one creature you see within 120 feet of you and spend a number of those dice equal to half your Druid level or less. Roll the spent dice and add them together. The target regains a number of hit points equal to the total. The target also gains 1 temporary hit point per dice spent. And you get all your dice back at a long rest. So, this right off the bat, the fact that you can use this as a bonus action and has nothing to do with your action, as like an action, this is really strong to be able to say, hey, I can still use a spell as offense or to attack somebody, and then as a bonus action, heal. There's not a lot of options, if any, for healing as a bonus action. So the fact that this allows you to use a bonus action to heal allies is pretty strong. And also, it's not a touch ability or anything like that. It is 120 feet away that you can heal someone, and it's not like they have to be able to hear you or anything like that. All the requirement is that you can see them. So that is pretty good. And you get a number of dice equal to your level. So right off the bat, you'll have 2 d6s. By the end, you'll have 20 d6 worth of healing that you can use half of at once, which basically means that you get to throw this bad boy out. And whoever you were targeting just healed 31 HP. Like, I mean, is that an absurd amount? Like a 5th or 6th level healing spell targeted at one person? Maybe not, but at the same time, it didn't cost you a spell slot, and it didn't cost you an action to use. So it's actually really strong. Plus, they also would have just gained 10 temporary hit points, which basically means that you gave them 41 HP, which is actually pretty cool to have. So, definitely a really strong early game and pretty strong late game, as you're getting the ability to heal as a bonus action, and you're getting the ability to heal, for a different ability, like different way other than spell slots. So, definitely pretty good. And real quick before I go, you'll be getting something at 2nd level, 6th level, 10th level, and 14th level. So, after your 2nd level thing of Balm of the Summer Court, you're not getting anything too fancy of the subclass until 6th level, which will give you the Hearth of Moonlight and Shadow. At 6th level, home can be wherever you are. During a short or long rest, you can invoke the shadowy power of the Gloaming Court to help guard your respite. At the start of your rest, you touch a point in space, and an invisible 30-foot radius sphere of magic appears centered on that point. Total cover blocks the sphere. While within the sphere, you and your allies gain a +5 bonus to dexterity, stealth checks, and wisdom perception checks, and any light from open flames in the sphere, a campfire, torches, or the like, isn't visible from outside, and the sphere vanishes at the end of the rest or when you leave the sphere. So this is basically just whenever you're taking a rest, this gives you the ability to use Liamon's Tiny Hut, I believe is what it's called, which basically just gives you a dome that anybody from outside cannot see into it. They don't know that it is there. They just, without touching it, they don't believe that there's anything there. And this one is a bit better because A, it doesn't cost you any, spells or components or take a lot of time to do, and it also gives you an advantage, or not advantage, like a bit more bonus to your dex for stealth checks of +5, which is quite a bit, and your perception checks is also a +5, which is pretty good. That you're essentially a completely hidden from view thing that is allowing your allies to be a bit more stealthy and a bit better at looking at things. So yeah, as like a little, it's a minor level 6 thing. It actually is a really strong level 6 ability. So next up, you'll be getting something at 10th level, which is a Hidden Paths. Starting at 10th level, you can use a hidden magical pathways that some Fae use to traverse space in the blink of an eye. As a bonus action on your turn, you can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Alternatively, you can use your action to teleport one willing creature you touch up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you see. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this is basically just a free, 5-time use of teleport, which, of course, it's not saying that it's only in combat, so in theory, you can, of course, use this to teleport your allies as well. And, 60 feet or 30 feet may not be, an absurd amount of distance to teleport, but it still is a lot better than nothing, because technically, because one of them is an action and the other one is a bonus action, you can actually do it twice in one turn. If you really need to get, you and a friend of yours out of an area of, contested, fighting or something, you walk up, you teleport your ally, and then you teleport yourself away. So it's actually, as a level 10 ability, it's not half bad, especially because by 10th level, you'll probably have a +5 modifier for wisdom, so you can teleport up to 5 times per long rest. And, anytime you can have an extra bit of mobility, and teleporting allows you to teleport in any direction that you can see, of course, which means that if you're having trouble with getting something from a higher up area or something, you can just teleport on up to it. So, yeah, it's actually not too bad, I would say. And then, the capstone is Walker in Dreams. At 14th level, the magic of the Feywild grants you the ability to travel mentally or physically through dreamlands. When you finish a short rest, you can cast one of the following spells without expending a spell slot or requiring material components: Dream, with you as the messenger, Scrying, or Teleportation Circle. This use of Teleportation Circle is special. Rather than opening a portal to a permanent Teleportation Circle, it opens a portal to the last location where you finish a long rest on your current plane of existence. If you have been taking a long rest on your current plane, the spell fails but isn't wasted. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So, this basically just gives you the use of once a day, after a short rest, of course, you'll be able to cast Dream, Scrying, or Teleportation Circle. So if you're doing a journey where you know that you're going to have to end up home anyways, or you want to kind of cut off a little bit of the moving time, then the Teleportation Circle can be very advantageous. And also Scrying, the ability to spy on somebody through divine means. And Dream is a little bit complicated of a spell. It would be something that I would have to have the full-on description of to be able to read out to try to explain it a bit better, because it's not as simple as just saying, oh, you send message through dreams. Yes, but there's a bit more. As the end goal of what your subclass is, you're definitely getting stuff a bit earlier on that's a little bit better. Hearth of the Moon, let me pop that one up too. Hearth of the Moonlight Shadow and Balm of the Summer Court are very strong, and Hidden Paths is pretty good. And yes, the use of all of these are really good. The issue is that you only get to use, uh, you can only cast one of the following spells per long rest after a short rest. If it was that you could take a short rest and then you could use one of each after a short rest, like you can use Dream once, you can use Scrying once, and you can use Teleportation Circle once per long rest afterwards, after the short rest, then this would be amazing. But this is only one. You only get one choice, which 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to choose Scrying because it's extremely good, and then the other 1 out of 10 times you'll probably use Teleportation Circle. Dream I don't see being used too often, but it's nice to have that as an option because, you know, if you don't want to use one of the others, then why not use that one? Definitely on a list of, you know, great to bad. The thing that's just really putting this one so high for me is the Balm of the Summer Court. Definitely putting that as an A tier, great rank, solely for the fact that getting to heal your allies, especially as a bonus action, in a pool separate from your spells is extremely powerful. And it's not like something that you very rarely have. You're getting it at the, you know, every time you do a short rest, or after every time you do a long rest, you're getting to heal your allies, and you're also getting to give them temporary hit points, and it's a range of 120 feet. If it was, you know, for a touch, then that would definitely put this down a little bit, but because you can be like halfway across a battlefield essentially, and still be able to heal your allies, that is extremely strong. And if you're looking at this and you're worrying like, wow, there is quite a bit that you have to go over, no, all of this is the Circle of the Land. You choose which one specifically you are, and then you get benefits from a specific one that you choose. But we'll get to that when we get to that, because right now, we're on the Circle of Stars subclass. Right off the bat, you're going to be getting Star Map, a second level Circle of Stars feature. You've created a star chart as part of your heavenly studies. It is a tiny object and can serve as a spellcasting focus for your druid spells. You determine its form by rolling on the star map table or by choosing one. While holding this map, you gain these benefits. You know, the guidance cantrip. You have the Guiding Bolt spell prepared. It counts as a druid spell for you, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you have prepared. And you can cast Guiding Bolt without expending a spell slot. You can do so a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. If you lose the map, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to magically create a replacement. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and it destroys the previous map. So, right off the bat, this is saying that it seems, at least from reading, that is probably something that anybody, it might be that anybody can hold and get it, because it is just saying that while holding this map, not while you hold this map. So in, you know, maybe by technicality, it could be that while anyone holds it, because I guess it does say while holding this map, you have these benefits, not the holder gets them, so might not, but might also be able to give it to any person, and then they would also be able to get all these benefits. But so right off the bat, guidance cantrip for, you know, just getting the guidance cantrip, pretty good. Guidance isn't too bad of a cantrip, and anytime you can add more cantrips to your repertoire, why not? They're literally free, and they don't cost you anything, not even spell slots. Next up, you get Guiding Bolt prepared automatically that doesn't count against your spells, like your actual spell limit, and you can cast the Guiding Bolt a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus for free. Which, if you don't know, Guiding Bolt is an extremely powerful spell that does a little bit of radiant damage, but has the bonus as that if it hits and it deals damage to the enemy, the next person who attacks that enemy has advantage because a glowing bolt is placed on the target, basically saying, hit me here, hit me here. So you can basically, right off the bat from second level, you can use Guiding Bolt twice because your proficiency bonus is 2 at the moment, so you can use it twice without using a spell, without actually expending a spell slot, which means that you get 2 free uses of Guiding Bolt, which is actually fairly strong, I would say, because Guiding Bolt is a lot of times something that mostly clerics will almost always choose, but if you can choose it as a druid, it definitely is beneficial, and if you get it for free, it's even better. And also, at second level, you also will get Starry Form, As a bonus action, you can expend a use of your wild shape feature to take on a starry form rather than transforming into a beast. While you are in your starry form, you retain your game statistics, meaning that usually when you go into wild shape, you'll get whatever you shaped into, except for a couple of things. I believe it's your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, maybe, or at least your wisdom and intelligence. So, while in your starry form, you retain your game statistics, but your body becomes luminous. Your joints glimmer like stars, and glowing lines connect them as on a star chart. This form sheds bright light in a 10-foot radius and a dim light for an additional 10 feet. The form lasts for 10 minutes. It ends early if you dismiss it, no action required, are incapacitated, die, or use this feature again. Whenever you assume your starry form, choose which of the following constellations glimmers on your body. Your choice gives you certain benefits in this form. The Archer. A constellation of an archer appears on you. When you activate this form, and as a bonus action on your subsequent turns, while it lasts, you can make a ranged spell attack, hurling a luminous arrow that targets one creature within 60 feet of you. On a hit, the attack deals radiant damage equal to 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier. So just being able to use basically a normal spell on a you can go bonus action to turn into your story form. You can cast a spell as an action. Next turn, you can cast a spell as an action. And then you can potentially do another d8 plus your wisdom modifier of damage just from throwing a star, essentially, which is pretty cool. And it is fairly helpful, because especially early on, this will be extremely, like, 1d8 early on is pretty high. You'll be getting what I think is a 5 to 12, between 5 and 12 if you hit them, because it's adding your wisdom modifier, which is fairly advantageous, and it doesn't cost you any of your spell component or anything like that. So, next up is the Chalice. A constellation of a life-giving goblet appears on you. Whenever you cast a spell using a spell slot that restores hit points to a creature, you or another creature within 30 feet of you can regain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier. So this is just allowing you to heal a little bit more, because if you're going to be healing anyways, then you might as well, if you have this one activated, then this is because you want to be a healer. Chalice is for healer, Archer is for range damage, and then the Dragon. A constellation of a wise dragon appears on you. When you make an intelligence check or a wisdom check or a constitution saving throw to maintain a spell concentration on a spell, you can treat a roll of 9 or lower on the d20 as a 10. So basically what's kind of what it sounds like is that Archer will be used if you want to be able to do a little bit of extra damage on your bonus actions. It can be very beneficial early on, where 1d8 plus your wisdom will be actually pretty strong. The Chalice will be used if you are going to try to be the healer for your team for a little bit, because you can get to heal other creatures or yourself an extra d8 plus your wisdom modifier whenever you heal somebody else. And the Dragon will be very beneficial at any point, especially later on, when you can basically give yourself an extreme bonus to your, mainly this one right here, of the Constitution saving throw for the concentration. How often will you be using this one when you're trying to do an intelligence or wisdom check compared to a Constitution saving throw for concentration? It certainly will be this one right here, but this will allow you to get a guaranteed 10 every time, so it's gonna really help you out there when trying to maintain concentration, because yeah, usually if you're gonna be doing a saving throw, you have your constitutions to be your second favorite stat as a spellcaster usually, so definitely having this one as somewhat high will be very good. And if you are proficient in constitution saving throws, then you'll basically always be rolling a pretty high number, especially because now you almost can't fail as long as you're rolling well enough. And as long as you always roll a 10, if the damage is not above a 10 on a concentration check is essentially that while you're trying to maintain concentration on a spell, some spells will tell you that that you have to maintain concentration to keep it up. When you take damage from something, in order to maintain concentration on the spell, you have to make a constitution saving throw, or most people will call it a concentration check, which is just a constitution saving throw. If the damage is, let's say, 10 through 1, couldn't think of the numbers for some odd reason. If it is 10 through 1, then it is 10. Anything more than that, and it'll half. So that means that it has to be halved to above 10 or more, or above, yeah, 10 or more. So if you're 19 damage, it'll half down to 9 damage. You have to make a Constitution saving throw of 10. If you have the dragon active while this is happening, you just don't have to make a Constitution saving throw unless the damage is above a 10. Actually, it's probably above a 10 plus your proficiency bonus naturally. Because if you're rolling, if you're a 10 plus 6, let's say, then it would have to be 17 damage worth of a Constitution saving throw to even make you roll, because you're guaranteed a 10 plus 6 every time. So, extremely powerful, I will say. Next up, we get Cosmic Omen. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can consult your star map for omens. When you do so, roll a die. Until you finish your next long rest, you gain access to a special reaction based on whether you rolled an even or an odd number on the die wheel on the even rolls. When a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is about to make an attack roll, a save throw or an ability check, you can use your reaction to roll a d6 and add the number rolled to the total. So it's kind of like a weird feel of a bardic inspiration die in sense. And whoa, on an odd roll, whenever a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is about to make an attack roll, save throw, or an ability check, you can use your reaction to roll a d6 and subtract the number rolled from the total. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you gain it all back at a long rest. So this is basically giving you the ability to be a low-level College of Lore bard, in the fact that you can kind of give an ally a bardic inspiration of you rolling the d6 to help them out with their d20 roll, and this one is using the College of Lore's Cutting Words ability to subtract it from an enemy's d20 roll, and you get it starting with 2 times, and I think at this moment you'll have it 3 times, I believe, and then by the end you'll be able to use it 6 times per long rest. So that's actually pretty strong by the end of it, yeah. Definitely nothing to just sneeze at, and definitely a pretty strong thing to be getting such early on as level 6. Next, at 10th level, you get Twinkling Constellations. The constellations of your star form improve. The 1d8 of the archer and the chalice becomes 2d8, and while the dragon is active, you have a flying speed of 20 feet and can hover. Moreover, at the start of each of your turns while in your star form, you can change which constellation glimmers on your body. And that one is for free. It's not saying that you have to use a bonus action to change it. It is just you get to change whenever. So by level 10, your archer and chalice can now heal can now damage and heal respectively 2d8 instead of 1d8. So definitely a lot better, because by this point 1 extra d8 really isn't all that much. But now 2d8 as a bonus action plus your wisdom modifier isn't too bad. A little bit of extra damage here and there, and a little bit of actually a pretty decent bit of healing there, here and there now. And then the dragon allows you to fly, which I've gone on record several times saying that if you get the ability to fly, then that is certainly something that you would want to take over, something that would give you like a burrow speed, or, the ability to fly is just an extremely powerful thing, because this gives you, access to another dimension of movement. Rather than the battlefield being, walking against the ground, you can now, focus on going upwards, which will allow you to avoid danger potentially, and as a druid, you might not have the highest hit points or the highest AC to really protect against this, so now you don't quite have to worry about it, as you're now in the air. And then the only thing that would really be of bother is something that might make you lose concentration. Well, as the dragon, you also are gaining, the minimum of 10 on d20 rolls for constitution saving throws to maintain concentration. So, pretty dope. And lastly, as your capstone of the subclass, Full of Stars, at 14th level. While in your starry form, you become partially incorporeal, giving you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. And note that this is saying that it's giving you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, not to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. So that means that while your starry form is activated, you're resistant to magical and non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, because it does differentiate between pure resistance and non-magical resistance, because some of the other subclasses have said giving you resistance to non-magical of this. This one is not saying that it's non-magical, so this is magical and non-magical resistance, which is extremely powerful to be changing into the dragon form to fly around, or if you want to be on the ground as the archer or the chalice to help with that type of stuff. Then when an enemy does run up and start hitting you, even when they hit you, which they probably will because your AC may not be too high, you don't have to worry too much about the damage because you're going to be resistant to it. So giving you the ability to fly a little bit ago, and giving you the ability to now resist bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, yeah, this is certainly non-existent because stars does not exist on the little circle, the little thing right here. But let's say if it does, where would I put it? Yeah, probably an S tier, right here, right. Nope, switch those right here. It would go right there. If this was stars, yeah, S tier by a landslide, helping with healing, helping with damage, helping with concentration checks, helping you out with the ability of, you know, giving you flight, giving you a bit more damage, giving you a bit more healing, giving you the wheel and woe ability here, and then giving you resistance to piercing, slashing, and bludgeoning damage. That is extremely powerful and something that any class would want. So if you're going to pick a Druid class, a Druid subclass, this one should definitely be somewhere towards the top of your list, I will say, in my humble opinion. But let's see how it stacks up against the Circle of Wildfire subclass. Right off the bat, at second level, you'll get some circle spells. Focal spell. At second level, you'll be getting Burning Hands and Cure Wounds. Third will grant you Flaming Sphere and Scorching Ray. Fifth will give you Plant Growth and Revivify. Seventh will give you Aura of Life and Fire Shield. And ninth will give you Flame Strike and Mass Cure Wounds. And remember, these are things that are always prepared and don't count against the number of spell slots you have prepared each day. So these are just something that are always available to you every single day that you don't need to prepare and don't need to worry about it like counting against you or anything like that. So second level, when you get this, getting Burning Hands and Cure Wounds, so you'll be able to do a little bit of fire damage, fun with Burning Hands, and you'll be able to heal a little bit more because you'll get Cure Wounds for free. That never counts against you, which is pretty cool. At third level, getting Flaming Spheres and Scorching Ray, really sticking with the fire damage, which I'm glad that it is keeping with the theme of something. Plant Growth and Revivify. Revivify, not as much in the thought of a wildfire. Plant Growth, yes. Contrary to popular, what you might be thinking, like, oh, how would a fire help with plant growth? Some certain trees, I believe, can only grow or have an easier time growing after a fire type of thing, after the ash and rubble and stuff like that. And this also helps with, cutting down on how much there actually is in an area, which allows for more things to grow in a better, healthier environment. Revivify, I guess, just giving you the exact same revision of the plant growth, but now with not plants. Aura of Life and Fire Shield to continue with the fire aspects, Fire here and Healing here. So it'll really help you with healing, fire, 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 fire. It's actually not too bad of spells to be getting for free. So, I mean, almost like no spell is bad if you're getting it for free, right? I mean, it's a free spell. I mean, it will still count as a spell slot, as a spell, like using a spell slot, but it won't count against how much you can bring with you every day. And also at second level, you get Summon Wildfire Spirit, which will allow you to summon a Wildfire Spirit, which, as you can see, this is your main thing to be looking at. The spirit appears in an unoccupied space of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you. Each creature within 10 feet of it, other than you, when it appears, must succeed on a dex saving throw against your spell save DC, or take 2d6 fire damage. The spirit is friendly to you and your companions and obeys your commands. So, yeah, right off the bat, you can get a little bit of extra damage, because if you want to summon this right next to a bunch of enemies, potentially you can give a whole bunch of enemies 2d6 fire damage. And your wildfire spirit will be a small elemental, an AC of 13, hit points is 5 plus 5 times your druid level, so right off the bat it would be 5 times 2 plus 5, which, if you can do the math, is 15. Later on, that'll go all the way up to 105, which is pretty good. It'll have a speed of 30 and a fly speed of 30. It'll have no strength, plus 2 in dex, plus 2 calm, plus 2 int, plus 2 wisdom, no charisma, which, to be fair, having no negative stats is actually kind of strong. A lot of times some spirits or summons like this, it'll usually be like they focus a whole lot on strength, they focus a whole lot on wisdom or int or something, and then everything else will be really low and negative sometimes. You actually have no negative stats and a couple of +2 stats, so it's actually fairly beneficial. It is immune to fire, of course, and it cannot be charmed, frightened, grappled, prone, or restrained. It has dark vision of 60 feet and a passive perception of 12. The languages it knows, it understands the languages you speak. Its challenge rating is your proficiency bonus. Challenge, the proficiency bonus equals yours, so it'll be +2, and then by the end it'll be +6. The actions that it can take will be Flame Seed, ranged weapon attack. Your spell attack modifier to hit, range of 60. One target you can see, hit 1d6 plus proficiency bonus, fire damage. The spirit, and then fiery teleportation. The spirit and each willing creature of your choice within 5 feet of it teleports up to 15 feet to unoccupied spaces you can see. Then each creature within 5 feet of the space that the spirit left must succeed on a dex saving throw against your spell save DC. So this basically is just saying that it can teleport a couple of creatures as long as they're all within 5 feet of it, and anyone that it did not teleport those in 5 feet of it must save on a dexterity saving throw, and if it doesn't, is taking a little bit of fire damage. In combat, the spirit shares your initiative order, but it takes a turn immediately after yours. The only action it takes on its turns is the dodge action, unless you take a bonus action on your turn to command it to take another action. That action can be one of its stat blocks or some other action. If you are incapacitated, the spirit can take any action of its choice, not just dodge. And it lasts for 1 hour until it dies, or until you use the feature again, or you die. So, I mean, this is a very basic thing that a lot of druids can do, is summon, it's like conjure elementals. This one just gives you a very specific one of the wildfire spirit, and it has some pretty decent stuff, especially early on, being able to use the flame seed and fiery teleportation. So it's not half bad, especially early on. So, you know, no need not to summon this when you can. At 6th level, you get Enhanced Bond. The bond with your wildfire spirit enhances your destructive and restorative spells. I don't know why I said abilities. Whenever you cast a spell that deals fire damage or restores hit points while your wildfire spirit is summoned, roll a d8 and you gain a bonus equal to the number rolled to 1 damage or healing roll of the spell. In addition, when you cast a spell within range other than self, the spell can originate from you or your wildfire spirit. So, this is basically letting you have a bit more fire damage if you're using a fire spell, or a little bit more healing as long as your wildfire spirit is out. And this also gives you the ability to, on the trickery domain of the cleric, where you can summon like a little illusory person of yourself, you can cast spells through that. That also allows you to cast spells through your wildfire spirit instead of you, if you would like, which basically is just saying that extends the range that the spell can actually be cast from, because instead of it being 30 feet originating from you, it can be 30 feet originating from your wildfire spirit, who is 30 feet away, essentially making the spell 60 feet long because of how it works. And it can also heal if the spell needs to be, if you need to heal somebody who is too far away for you, you can have your the wildfire spirit is close enough, you can use the healing spell through that to heal your down teammate. So, it's all in all actually pretty good, and anytime that you can kind of gain a little bit of extra damage, healing is good, and essentially extend the range of a spell for free in a sense, it's actually kind of nice. Next up, at 10th level, you get Cauterizing Flames. You gain the ability to turn death into magical flames that can heal or incinerate. When a small or larger creature dies within 30 feet of you or your wildfire spirit, a harmless spectral flame springs forth in the dead creature's space and flickers there for 1 minute. When a creature you can see enters that space, you can use your reaction to extinguish the spectral flame there and either heal the creature or deal fire damage to it. The healing or damage equals 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier. You can use this reaction a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and to get it all back after a long rest. So this will basically just allow you to, as a reaction, it's going to be, as a reaction you create it. No, you gain the ability to turn death when a small or larger creature dies. No, you don't even need to use, so you don't need to use the reaction to get the dead spirit. This is just when a small or larger creature, which is basically everything that you'll be fighting, it just creates. It doesn't even need to be that you or your wildfire spirit killed it. It just needs to have died within 30 feet of one of you, which can be a fairly decent range as long as you guys aren't right on top of each other. So, and then this ability, how often will you actually be able to get it, the function to be able to do the damage part? Probably not too often, because, I mean, your enemy may not know not to run into the space where their dead comrade is, because it's not like they would actually know that that thing is about to explode if they walk onto it. But if your allies know that it can heal them if they walk onto it, then you can use your reaction to heal your allies 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier, just because it's like a thank you for killing that guy, oh, here's a little bit of HP. So, you know, your barbarian who just wailed into a guy, killed him, made a dead body, you know, created the dead body, so you can now create the spirit out of it, and the spectral flame spring, you can just walk onto it, and then heal them up to d10, so the barbarian can continue running around killing everything for you and your team, while maintaining a healthy amount of HP, and it doesn't cost you anything other than your reaction, which you might not be able to do on every turn, but now this gives you another ability to be using on as a reaction. So, and you can also use this kind of defensively in a sense, because an enemy can die, creating the spectral flame, which then means that you can run and basically use it as a barrier. So once the enemy runs up to hit you with a melee weapon, they step onto the body, you use your reaction to blow it up, and it immediately deals 2d10 plus your wisdom modifier to the enemy. So you can potentially just for free do a little bit of damage because an enemy died, which is, in a weird sense, is kind of like a martyrdom effect of upon death you drop a bomb, essentially. This one just goes off whenever you want it to be, which is pretty cool. And at 14th level, for the capstone of this subclass, you get the Blazing Revival. The bond with your wildfire spirit can save you from death. If the spirit is within 120 feet of you when you are reduced to 0 hit points and thereby fall unconscious, you can cause the spirit to drop to 0 hit points. You then regain half your hit points and immediately rise to your feet. You can use this, once you use this feature, you can't use it again until a long rest. So you basically can have your wildfire spirit die in your stead. And it isn't just like, oh yeah, now you're back up to 1 HP or something. You're back up to half your hit points and immediately rise to your feet. You'll be at 51 hit points, maybe 52 depending on whether you round up or round down. Usually it's round up, so you'd have 52. Plus you'd have a lot more because your constitution modifier would be giving you a bit more HP. So you basically would have, let's say, 140 HP, let's say. So you'd basically go from 103 to you'd go to 140, which means that instead of dying, you essentially lose your wildfire spirit and get up to 100 or get up to 70 hit points. And you would want to use this because once you go unconscious, your wildfire spirit disappears. Well, it doesn't disappear, but like you can't use any actions with it. So you can basically say, I don't die, but you do. And then you can use your bonus action to just create another spirit to go do other things for you. So it's actually pretty good, and there's no reason not to use it. And as a capstone, very powerful in the fact that this is a prevent me from dying ability. and prevent me from dying abilities are pretty useful. I would say if this one does exist, but it does not, unfortunately, I would also put it right up here, probably just behind Dreams, just because it is all fire damage for it, and unfortunately fire damage is the most resisted typing in the game for that type for spells and stuff. You know, outside of bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, fire is heavily resisted, and a lot of times even immune. So there's not a lot that you can do with fire damage, but the added effects of some healing related things, revivify, is all pretty good. But I see Dream being just a little bit better than Wildfire. Next up, and probably the last of this video, because there's going to be a decent little bit that we have to go over, is the Circle of Land, where you can do Circle of Land Arctic, Circle of Land Coast, Desert, Forest, Grassland, Mountain, Swamp, and Underdark. Depending on which one you choose, you'll get certain things from them. Right off the bat, though, at 2nd level, you'll get a bonus cantrip, which can be anything. Well, not anything, but any Druid cantrip. Which means that, as I've said a lot, especially for spellcasters, getting an extra cantrip for free, is pretty good. So if you want guidance, just so I can show you what I did from earlier, you touch one ruling creature. Before the spell ends, the target can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to one ability check of its choice. It can roll the die before or after making the ability check. So guidance is actually a really strong one. So you now get it as an additional cantrip. So it's pretty cool. Also at 2nd level, you get Natural Recovery. Starting at 2nd level, you can regain some of your magical energy by sitting in meditation and communing with nature. During a short rest, you choose expended spell slots to recover. The spell slots can have a combined level that is equal to or less than half your druid level rounded up, and none of the slots can be 6th level or higher. You can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. For example, when you are a 4th level druid, you can recover up to 2 levels worth of spell slots. You can either recover a 2nd level spell or 2 1st level spells. So basically, once you get to max level of 20th level, you'll be able to recover up to 20 levels worth of spell slots. None of the spells can be 6th level or higher though, so you can regain 4 5th level spell slots, you can regain 5 4th level spell slots, and a combination of every other version that you can think of between 1 and 5. So basically just during a long rest, being able to regain this per long rest, just getting to gain back a couple of spell slots, and later on potentially gaining back a lot of spell slots, and higher level ones at that. Yeah, it's pretty good, I'll say. Maybe. So, and actually, no, the spell slots can have a combined level of equal to half or less than your druid level. So at 20, it would be 10. You can get 10 levels worth of spell slots back. So you'd either gain 2 5th level spells, 2 4, and 2 1s, and any other combination. Yeah. So, yeah, it's strong. Getting to gain back spell slots in any way, however many times you can do it per day, is an extremely strong thing. I think any spellcaster would love to be able to do this. So, starting at 3rd level, you'll get Circle Spells. Your mystical connection to the land infuses with the ability to cast certain spells. 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th level, you gain access to Circle Spells, and they determine on which part of the land you chose. If you chose Arctic, at 3rd level, you'll get Hold Person, Spike Growth. At 5th, you'll gain Sleet Storm and Slow. At 7th, you'll gain Freedom of Movement and Ice Storm. At 9th, you'll gain Commune with Nature and Cone of Cold. So, some definite things to kind of do with the Arctic, like the Hold Person and Slow and Sleet Storm, Ice Storm, Cone of Cold, all, very doing to do with the fact of, like, coldness, not being able to move a whole lot, so things related to the cold, things related to not being able to move too well because of the cold, Spike Growth, which I believe makes it difficult terrain, Freedom of Movement, and then Commune with Nature. So, they're not too bad of things, and it gives you a bit of a, variety. If you're choosing things that are, fire and lightning, this will give you ice-related and cold-related spells, so you can kind of have a very wide variety of, rather than just choosing all the good spells that are, this one's a high damage or something, or a good utility. this will give you those for free, especially hold person, slow, freedom of movement, cone of cold, ice storm. All very good things that you can easily choose. Now you don't have to think to choose them because you already have them if you're in Arctic. If you're a coast, however, you gain Mirror Image and Misty Step at 3rd, Water Breathing and Water Walk at 5th, Control Water and Freedom of Movement at 7th, and Conjure Elemental and Scrying at 9th. So it has some stuff to do with, the coast and the water and sand. So Mirror Image and Misty Step, turning into a mist, dodge, water, Mirror Image, possibly because you're reflecting off the water to cause a mirror image of yourself, water breathing and water walk, control water, freedom of movement, conjure elemental, and scrying. All very useful, very powerful, definite things showing Coast to be a pretty good Circle of the Land choice. But is it better than the desert? While at 3rd level you'll gain Blur and Silence, 5th level will give you Create Food and Water and Protection from Evil. At 7th, it'll give you hallucinatory terrain and blight, and at 9th will give you insect plague and wall of stone. While each of these have their own uses, especially blur and silence, create food and water, protection against energy, everything here, they have their own uses. Getting them for free is really cool. How often are you actually going to use each of these? You'll probably use silence and blur somewhat often. Maybe protection from energy. Wall of Stone, I don't know how often you really use Insect Plague. Blight is good, but not spectacular. Hallucinatory terrain, it's alright. Certainly no bad things, because they're all free spells, so can't really complain. For the forest, you at 3rd level will gain Bark Skin and Spider Climb. 5th level will give you Plant Growth and Call Lightning. 7th level will give you Divination and Freedom of Movement. 9th level will give you Commune with Nature and Tree Stride. All very good spells to be able to cast around some defensive and mobility related things. Damage, Plant Growth is always good. Divination, Freedom of Movement. They're all very good. It's, how do you want to play your character? Do you want to, of course, before choosing, if you're going to choose Circle of the Land, don't choose your, what part of the land you're going to choose, just because of whatever one you wanted, because you had to choose that 2nd level. Look at these first, and then choose by it, because this is where it really does make a difference which one you chose. So, make sure you're choosing a good one, which Grassland might be that choice, giving you Invisibility and Pass Without a Trace at 3rd level, Daylight and Haste at 5th level, Divination and Freedom of Movement at 7th level, and Dream and Insect Plague at 9th level. 3rd level, giving you Invisibility and Pass Without a Trace. Incredible, especially Invisibility. I think we know what Invisibility does. Pass Without a Trace will give you a plus 10 to stealth checks for however many people you can put this on. Very powerful. Daylight is actually a very strong spell. Haste is one of the, if not the best, utilities spell in the game. So, Divination and Freedom of Movement, always very, very helpful to have Freedom of Movement as a spell for free. And Dream and Insect Plague. Definitely a lot better early on for the Grassland Druid, but all in all, it actually isn't half bad what you're getting. Next up is the Mountain. At 3rd level, you'll get Spider Climb and Spike Growth. 5th level will give you Meld into Stone and Lightning Bolt. 7th level will give you Stone Shape and Stone Skin. And at 9th level, you'll get Wall of Stone and Pass Wall. Some definite good things here. Spider Climb is anytime there's like a little bit of extra mobility for you, for climbing related things, of course. Lightning Bolt is a pretty good spell. Stone Skin and Stone Shape are pretty good. Meld into Stone. Everything is fairly good and fairly, strong, and thankfully relating to the mountain. And it's not like, yes, you're gonna get water spells while you're the mountain druid or something. Next up is Swamp. At 3rd level, you'll get Darkness and Acid Arrow. 5th level will give you Water Walk and Stinking Cloud. 7th level will give you Locate Creature and Freedom of Movement. 9th level will give you Insect Plague and Scrying. All very powerful. Darkness and Acid Arrow, good on being able to kind of, help not be seen here, and acid arrow being a very powerful, like a pretty strong spell. Acid arrow is a pretty long range and does a decent bit of damage. Water walk is nice, and stinking cloud is actually a pretty strong spell if used correctly. Freedom of movement, as I've said, is pretty strong. Scrying is pretty strong, and locate creature can be extremely helpful for you and your team. And the last one is the underdark. At 3rd level, it'll give you spider climb and web. At 5th level, it'll give you gaseous form and stinking cloud. At 7th level, it'll give you greater invisibility and stone shape. And at 9th level, you'll get cloud kill and insect plague. So this is definitely a little bit better on the later on. Web is a good one, and spider climb is good for utility stuff. Gaseous form isn't half bad. Stinking cloud is good. Greater invisibility, strong. Stone shape, good. Cloud kill, I like cloud kill myself. So definitely whichever one you choose from here, you're getting what, 8 free spells through from now until your 9th level. You'll get 8 spells between that time for free. Yeah, there's no issue there. I mean, anytime you can get free spells as a spellcaster, and it's not working, like really having to be like, oh, which one of these do I really want to choose? Well, you already have these ones, so now you don't have to be worrying about invisibility related things here. You don't have to worry about stinking cloud for whatever reason or something, because you'll have it. So anytime that a subclass or something can give you spells for free like that, it's really good. At 6th level, you'll get the Land Stride. Starting at 6th level, moving through non-magical difficult terrain costs you no extra movement. You can also pass through non-magical plants without being slowed by them and without taking damage from them if they have thorns, spines, or similar hazard. In addition, if you have advantage on saving throws against plants that are magically created or manipulated to impede movement, such as those created by the Entangle spell. So this just being a free thing that you don't need to like activate or really like consciously think of to use, you can just pass through like difficult terrain, doesn't affect you. You have advantage if plants are supposed to magically impede your movement, which is actually extremely well. And then non-magical plants, you're slowed by non-magical plants and you don't take damage by them. And you'd be surprised at how easily this can come up. I mean, if you're going to be in like a dungeon or something, will this be helpful? Not in the slightest. But if you're in a jungle environment or something like that, this is actually pretty good. This also means that you can just hit a cactus without being affected. Because, well, cactus is supposed to be able to damage you from its little spines or pricks, whatever they are. And you can just start high-fiving a cactus and it can't do anything to you because you're not taking damage. Well, moving through them. I'm sure if you ran up sort of just punching one, it would take damage. But so it's got its benefit. It definitely, is a little bit more niche, but it definitely is pretty helpful in what it can be used for. At 10th level, you'll get Nature's Ward. When you reach 10th level, you can't be charmed or frightened by elementals or fae, and you're immune to poison and disease. This one, a little restrictive on elementals and fae, although how often you run into elementals and fae can actually be a bit more, often than you'd really think if you haven't played a longer campaign or you haven't traveled to an area where this is a little more common, like if you travel into the Feywild. And also being immune to poison and disease. Being immune to poison is always helpful. Poison damage can't do anything to you, and you aren't affected by the poison condition. Yeah, why would you not want that? For a 10th level ability, letting you be immune to frightened and charmed from elementals and faes, and being immune to poison and disease, you're getting some really strong immunities, and especially only at level 10, not even the capstone of level 14, which this capstone is called Nature's Sanctuary, which is when you reach 14th level, creatures of the natural world sense your connection to nature and become hesitant to attack you. When a beast or plant creature attacks you, that creature must make a wisdom saving throw against your druid spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature must choose a different target, or the attack automatically misses. On a successful save, the creature is immune to the effects of 24 hours. The creature is aware of this effect before it makes its attack against you. So this is basically saying that, if you're being, harried by a lot of beasts, anything like wogs and wolves and big cats and bears and all the sorts of that, or plant creatures, which can be, actual animated plants, venomous Venus flytrap type of things. There's a lot of mobs, and I don't want to try to think of all of them right now because that's not what this video is about, of me trying to think of any plant that can attack you. But being able to potentially just have that creature not attack you because it needs to make a successful save. It has to be a what was it, a wisdom saving throw? Yeah, a lot of beasts and plants probably aren't going to have the highest wisdom saving throw, and your spell save DC by 14th level and then by 20th level is probably going to be in the range of like around 20 at that time. So odds of you getting, of them saving probably isn't going to be too high, and that also means that you'll get a, kind of protection against it, and they have to keep on rolling against you until they succeed. So they can't, attack you, have the first attack miss, and then the second attack automatically is fine. No, unless they make a successful save, they have to roll again and again and again to choose whether it's not they will attack you, or they have to choose somebody else, or whether or not they target somebody else or they automatically miss. So this is, as College of Land, this is truly a B tier. This can be phenomenal. This can be an easy S tier thing if you're in a campaign where there is a lot of, jungle environment that might be slowing you down, where a lot of plant monsters and beasts are attacking you. This will be very powerful. But of course, if you're choosing a druid for a dungeon delving campaign, this isn't going to help you at all, because a lot of times dungeons don't have a lot of beasts and plants attacking you, and the difficult terrain isn't always that prominent. So yeah, it's not going to be it's going to be definitely, way down here if it's choosing, if you're in a dungeon delving, way up here if you're in an area where it's like a lot of actual, oriented around the land itself. This will certainly be the one that you want to choose, but it's not always going to pop up, and it's not always going to work that way. So definitely choosing something else might be slightly better if, you're in a different campaign. But all in all, it's a pretty good subclass. Definitely has its utilities and its its stronger areas of use. So, but yeah, that'll do it for this video. I will get out a second video later on of the rest of the Druid subclasses, so be on the lookout for that. If you guys enjoyed this video, then consider hitting the like button and commenting down below what you guys did enjoy, so that I can continue doing it, to continue making the videos as well as I have been. If you guys didn't like the video, then go ahead and dislike it and comment down below what you didn't like, so I can improve upon it to make the videos better for y'all. If you guys want to know when I upload, then the best way to know is by subscribing. But that does it for this video. Until next time, bye guys.